Hey, howdy and hello, folks. Welcome back into T1A. We are going over the weekly recap since our auction draft, see what's going on in the league, see what kind of trades have happened, see what kind of shenanigans have been about.
Ugh.
Hello,
Hey.
I'm from Delaware.
That you caught me off guard because I'm having like the internet things here and like I didn't see the intro video and so I was like, what's gonna happen?
Oh,
And then bam, it pops back up and the trade offer is already up here. So I guess we're just gonna jump right into it. So like Tony said, this is the first week or almost a week we did the auction draft for this league on Sunday. It is the T1A league that we will be following along all year. So we'll have a weekly update every week. So yeah, first weekend was pretty eventful, I guess. Same guys that are been goofing off or are still goofing off, and some guys made some smart moves, some guys made some dumb moves. I don't even know if I made a trade. I don't think I did.
no, I don't think so yet.
That's what happens when you draft really well.
Or you won't
Okay.
pay sucker prices.
Okay, so this first trade here. Now, I generally, when I'm breaking down a trade, I like to go piece for piece, right? And then that's how you kind of cut down the value and see where everything's at here. So picking out the biggest piece, of course, AJ Brown being the biggest piece that Dilly here is sending off.
Yeah.
Getting back to 102, and to me, 102 alone for AJ Brown probably isn't enough. So he starts getting back, and where's the next value to that? So that eats up 302 still, and then it starts to eat into we'll go to Judy. Okay.
Yeah.
And then it's the 108s in there. Like, okay, there's what the fuck? I don't think the remainder of what was left of Judy matches up to the 108. And so you basically ended up paying. When I look at all of this, it was like Kyle Pitts for Freiermuth in the 208 when it really boils down to it, right? Because it's too much.
It feels really heavy to give up AJ Brown to get a 102. I understand that he probably needs a quarterback. The quarterback that he's getting isn't proven enough for me to move AJ Brown for.
Yeah, this trade was a kerfuffle, I think. I mean, sure, you're getting Pitts and you're moving up 6 spots and you're getting the quarterback, right? But like in this draft, it's very clear lines as to where this draft is going to go. A lot of people like the top 4. Okay, we're not even gonna start with like Bijan the number 1. Top 4 are going to be Bijan and the quarterbacks, right? And then Gibbs is going to come off, and then the next 3 wide receivers are going to come off. So those 4 guys are lined up, right? So you're now down to pick 8, and you know what you're going to get basically down to pick 8. I would have hung out with the 108 and shopped that 108. I'm doing the same thing with the 106. Shop that 108 for a quarterback, right? Because the quarterback you're going to get here at 102, sure, you're getting your pick of the quarterbacks. We still don't know where the fuck they're going to go.
Well, and it is how sure are we that his value, especially for the first year or two, is going to be much higher than the quarterback you got at the 108?
I don't think you're getting a quarterback at 108.
Well, Levis fell that far.
And even then you're getting Levis, and that sucks because Levis isn't going to be a really good quarterback, right? So you're not getting a quarterback at 108. Like, you want a quarterback in this draft this year, you need to have a top 4 pick. That's just the way it's going to boil down to it. It's super flex, especially in a startup. Like, everybody's going to go value. Nobody's trying to build their roster right now. Not in that fashion, at least. So 108, he wasn't going to get a quarterback. I mean, I get the idea of him going up to do it. It just seems like a brash move to get up there to do it. And we can even, I can try to. We can even look at like his team. And he already hamstrung himself with Mac Jones, Jordan Love. And now you're about to go up and get, I don't know who, CJ Stroud?
Yeah.
Like, is he really that dude? Does he fix that team?
Even Bryce Young?
Yeah. I mean, are you better off with just playing? You might as well stick it out with Love and Jones and get another good wide receiver at 108. That's what you were going to get. So, yeah, I would say we got to pick a winner. We got to pick a loser in this one. And I think old Talon there, the tool man,
finally won one.
Yeah, he's going to say something.
Get out the air horn. Good job, Talon.
Let's go on to the next fucking junky masterpiece.
So I came in on the day one. I decided to move on from Devonta Smith and try to upgrade to Metcalf.
Try? You did. You succeeded. I like this. I think he gave up like a little bit of the hype in Wandale and Clyde.
He asked for CEH.
Yeah,
which
and that's
kind of surprised me. So
that's cool. A lot of people might have a little bit of hype on him. I know that McKinnon's not re-signed yet still, so who
Yeah.
knows? Conklin, a throw-in to me. Like, I feel like he
Yeah.
got back a couple throw-ins and gave up a little bit of potential, right? But like, what potential really? Like, is Clyde going to be a running back too? Probably not.
Right.
Is Mondale a boom bust guy? Fuck yeah. Clearly, the Giants were even in TCU or in, I don't know where the hell TCU's at, but they were at TCU's pro day, and Brian Dable was looking at Quentin Johnson. So like, they're out shopping for wide receivers in this draft. So I think Robinson's
They
kind
got
of a
to do
wash.
something. I mean,
Yeah.
they haven't brought much of anything in. They can't just keep going around these, fifth, sixth round wide receivers, picking them up from everybody's practice squad and throwing them in there. It's not going to work.
Yeah, I think they had high hopes. They also had a lot of money tied into that receiving group. So getting rid of Kenny Golladay, and I don't know if it was just cheaper to get rid of him this past year because they could have done it his first year. And then Slayton and those guys, Shepard, injuries and all that. So I mean, they had a decent wide receiver room when you looked at it on paper, but then when you started applying it to games, it really fucking sucked.
Yeah.
And all in all, I think like this trade could have gone down personally just DK for Clyde, Devontae, and Wandale, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I probably still would have accepted it. I know DK had a little bit of a down year last year as far as like where he finished, but he's still a fucking stud. And
Yeah.
he doesn't have AJ Brown on the other side of him.
Right.
He's not gonna have Tyler Lockett for that long.
He doesn't also have a Dallas Goedert that's going to be healthy for the season. That's something that I'm looking at with Devonta Smith is I see just a tiny bit of regression going to happen because he's not going to be the secondary or the main target most of the season.
I like that you got the throw-ins on Conklin and the 305. You're going to get a little depth throw target, a little dart throw guys there. So I think you ended up even trade, but if I'm picking a side, win out of tank.
Ha-ha! All right, let's move on here. We got another trade here from Boom. This is a doozy. This one is a doozy. We've got Tanyan, Dylan, and Jahan Dotson, and the 109 going to Boom, and he sent off Keenan Allen, Jonathan Taylor, Harrison Bryant, and the 304. To me, right off the bat, this seems like a slam dunk accept. If somebody's sending me Keenan and Jonathan Taylor.
Kyle there, the overweight carpet tent. He's not a real big into fantasy football at all.
Yeah.
And doesn't follow along a whole lot. And so I got a text asking what I thought of the trade. And I sent out my ideas on it, but it was such a bad trade. It was so egregious. And I'm going to give away like, shit, we do trade talks with these guys all the time. So I'm not going to surprise them with anything I say here. But if I get a trade where I'm like, this is a fucking smash accept trade, I know I want to accept the trade. So I leave that offer there. But I always try to get the cherry on top, the sprinkles, the extra little hot fudge squirt on there. And I think I told Kai on this one to end up going after like a couple other small pieces.
Yeah,
they ended up probably
Checo or something in there.
Yeah, just to see where he was at. Like if he's going to be this egregious, just see how far he's going with it. But Kyle killed this trade, in my opinion. Jonathan Taylor he's still worth 2 first-round picks. I don't think AJ Dillon he's going to age out before he's ever going to be able to do anything. He's at the final year of his contract. Even if Green Bay brings him back for another year, he's still going to be like 26, 27 years old, and he's a big pounder back. So it's not like he's going to get any better. My feelings on Dotson, John Rager. I don't think Jacoby Brissett is going to come there and change anything for him.
And then we just talked about the 108. So now you're at the 109, and what are you getting?
Serious fucking tear break here. And I actually did the Glasses Mike episode is where I start talking about, hey, look, at this point right here, do you want to start taking shots at 109, 10, 11, 12? Do you want to start taking shots at a questionable, undersized wide receiver that you're not really sure how well he's going to do? Or are you starting to look at the valuations you've done on running backs and where they landed at and starting to get some of those guys here to lock down some of your running back roster? Or are you going down to where the tight ends are at? Because Mayer, Kincaid, they've been flirted around in the later end of the first round.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going with a tight end at 109 unless you're
I think you lose
desperate.
a lot. Well, I think you lose a lot of value in that tight end spot because now you need them to probably be a starter. You need them to perform year one to get that value back.
Yeah. And I actually talked with Boom a couple of days ago about what he did with his team here. And this was one of the first moves where he started to get himself into a position, because we're going to see a few more trades here with him that you're going to be like, what in the hell? When it all boils down to it, though, and you look at his actual final roster and where he's at after all the weird shit he's done, he's in a pivot spot. He can full on rebuild, go completely young, have all guys that are, basically the ones he's going to be relying on are all 24, 25 and younger.
Yep.
And is still building into 2024, or he can trade off all those picks right in the draft, because especially with how uncertain this draft is going to be and not knowing like and where he's at with picks, he's at tier break, so he has the ability then to trade those away for proven players and potentially make a run. I'm leaning more towards probably the rebuild side of things that'll have to go, because it'll be tough to get fair value for those picks that he has.
Yeah.
But he's in a good spot. This one, though, pretty fucking easy. I don't think we have to explain it too much. Kyle won the fuck out of this.
Well, let's stay with Boom and look at his next trade that he did. Boom sent off Devontae Adams 109 and the 404. So the pick that he just got, he sent that off already to get back DeAndre Swift, Khalil Shakir, Kenny Pickett in the 408.
This one's kind of like, what's your flavor? Because I actually felt this was pretty good. You got rid of Devontae Adams, who's already 30 years old, just got another quarterback. So that's going to be his third quarterback in 3 years. And I know it's been Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, and Jimmy Garoppolo, so not like garbage guys. Yeah. But we talked about this with Adams, I think in the auction video, where Adams is probably going to regress a little bit. He is still going to see a major target share just because he commands that. I've seen Jimmy play as a Niner fan for plenty of years, where I know he does not throw good, efficient targets to guys. Those contested catches that Adams is going to have to make are going to be in a position where the corner can get to him also now. They're going to be down in tight spots where he can get to them alone. So I think he drops off a ton, especially even after this year. Giving up the 109, we just talked about it. It's a major tier break. You don't even know what the fuck it's going to be, so whatever. Get rid of that thing.
So going back to your breakdown, would you go 109 straight up for Swift?
I would say that's kind of like where the value is matching up at.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's probably a good return for Swift, especially considering right now what's going on with Detroit signing Montgomery and, you know, all the influx stuff he's got going on. I think 109 is a pretty good value for that. So, yeah, Devontae Adams and the 404, and you get back a young quarterback who did show that, like, yeah, he's going to have some growing pains, but I mean, even Trevor Lawrence looked like dog shit in his rookie year and then did pretty good in his second year. So Pickett's a candidate for that. And the Shakir and the 408, like, that's a throw in. Like, you got those back for really nothing. So this one really boils down, I think, to Adams for Pickett and 109 for Swift with some throw-in shit here and there. Pretty even trade. I don't think there's a winner or a loser in that, honestly.
Well, if we got to pick one,
if I have to pick somebody,
I was still going to leave Devontae Adams. I still think Dion took the win on this one.
I'll take Colin on it. I think he did really good. I think you got a young running back that's a guy you're probably not out of season in the offseason right now going to trade him for much value. But if he shows out a little bit in Detroit, you know, starts getting into a role that actually fits what he does, and Montgomery and him are more like a, you know, Kamara and who was the other guy they had there all the time? Oh, I can't even think his name right now. Ingram. Yeah, like Kamara Ingram, and that's Montgomery Swift. And you have some kind of that mix in there. I think he has a lot of value. And then Pickett, like that young quarterback, dude. Like that's value alone. Like Pickett's going to get turned out for the 109 in the middle of a season for sure.
I agree, except for I know that Boom also sends off Swift in another trade. So,
all right, we're just breaking this bitch down here.
So all right, so next trade offer here, we've got Rob sending off Jalen Warren in the 105 and getting the 108 and Talon's 2024 first.
Yeah, this one's a little bit curious. So Talon giving up the 108, gets to move up 3 spots, gives up his 24 first next year. He's got a pretty decent team, so that's probably going to be, you know, mid to lower.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically 108 this year, 108 next year, we'll say. And you gave up the 105 Jalen Warren. I got to say Rob wins this one. I don't really know why you'd want to move up 3 spots. Sure, now you're just locking yourself into getting your choice between Gibbs and the top wide receiver, but you could have stayed probably basically. I don't think there's a big break in value between Gibbs and the top 3 wide receivers, so I don't really know why you make this move.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would definitely say
going with the 108 and the 2024 first, you could trade that up for a higher tier player than what you could even trade the 105 for. Jalen Warren doesn't really factor into this trade at all. That's just a cannon fodder. But those 3 pieces, like if you're looking, you know, across the board, I could go get probably, you know, Kenny Pickett plus for those 2 picks.
109 got Kenny Pickett, 108 in that.
Yeah.
What was it? Like Kenny and DeAndre was all up in that fucking mix. Well,
you'd probably go get a stack. You'd probably go get Kenny and Deontay
Pickens, Kenny and Pickens, and a third.
I don't I don't know. There's a little more hype on Pickens being better, but that's where I was like, yeah, I could see, especially if this is projected to be more of a later 2024 first.
Yeah,
I could definitely see being able to move and lock in that Deontay Johnson. So
I know Pickens has been being shopped,
oh
FYI,
yeah.
for those who watch it.
Hint, hint. All right. So definitely Rob winning this trade.
Yeah,
Let's
I
move on
agree
to
with
the
that.
next one here. Oh, look, our friend Boom is back.
Yeah, he's been doing a lot of work. Really
So
has.
this one, I'm curious to your thoughts on this, but Boom is sending out Terry McLaurin, James Robinson, 205, the 408, and he's getting back Gabe Davis, the 107, the 307.
I don't think he killed this, but I think he definitely won this trade. I think Gabe Davis, Terry McLaurin, that's like wide receiver 2 for wide receiver 2. And you can argue that if you want, but like Gabe Davis is a really young guy. Like I know he's been around for a while, but he's still only like 23 or 24. McLaurin is 27, 28. And another new quarterback in Washington. He is who he is. He's been a wide receiver 2. He's got great talent. It just has not matched up. And so why buy the hype? I'll take the guy who's in the big play offense, tied to Josh Allen, and he gets the 107. So he's going to get another wide receiver who has probably more potential than Terry McLaurin to become Terry McLaurin. So I think you won this pitch.
Just looking this up real quick, because on Gabe Davis, was good and hyped coming into last season, and then it just didn't seem like he was nearly as involved as he should have been. So looking up, like, okay, he missed 2 games. All right. Came in wide receiver 36 in PPR last year. So at the end of the wide receiver 3 tier.
Sure, but he also saw 93 targets and had 7 touchdowns. I mean, he's a big play guy, right? Like I would be interested to see if we went through and had a little bit of time to see how many wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 1 weeks that Gabe Davis gave you versus how many wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 weeks Terry McLaurin gave you, and see how that ended up.
Well, and I think the big thing that you're just saying right there is very true. Is somebody giving you a wide receiver 1? He gave you an actual number 1 wide receiver week 3 with 3 catches, 171 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, see, and I get it. Like McLaurin did have a really good year last year, finishing 14th overall in the wide receivers. But I don't know, man. You're like, it's his best year, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, his best year is wide receiver 14 finish. Before that, 29, 20, 25. And I don't think there was an upgrade at the quarterback like Wentz and Heineke. Or do you really think Jacoby Brissett's that much better?
Or
you know what I mean?
Sam Howell.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the hype that the offensive coordinator is going to change it, but it can't change it that much.
Yeah, I mean,
because he's not throwing the ball.
Yeah, and McLaurin hasn't been in the same offense the first 4 years he's been in the league. Like it's been 2 or 3 different offenses. So like it's not just offense. It's kind of like writing on the wall and understand who a guy is and be okay with it. If he gets more out of it, then fine. But I still think Boom actually came out ahead on this one.
Quick question, if you know this off the top of your head. Was Terry already there when Rivera came over?
Yeah.
So they've drafted Jahan Dotson. I mean, it's just one of those things you can look at and see, like, are they going to start transitioning to make Jahan the lead receiver there?
Oh, I don't think while Terry's there they will, but it'll come into a hell of a lot of play when it comes time to re-sign Terry. And if he wants to leave because they won't pay him, then yeah, the benefactor would be Jahan Dotson if they think he's a number 1.
All right, so break this down for us. Go piece by piece.
Oh, shit, piece by piece here. So I would say 107 for McLaurin's a little bit of an overpay as the 107 goes, I feel like. So 408 clears that. And then he got Gabe Davis for basically 205. That seems pretty even to me. And then he gave up James Robinson for 307. I mean, when you really value it down, it was a very even trade. But when you start thinking about where it takes you and what you can get and build from, I think Colin won it. But I think it was an even trade.
See, and I'm leaning more on what Space Aids got here. Still has your second round dart throw. The 107 to the 205. I mean, there's a tier break in talent, but
the 205, you're not getting that shot at 205 this year. It just tails off too much.
I don't know. I like a little bit more of the McLaurin security than the 107.
It's youthful.
Yeah.
It's a youthful move, that's for sure. Gabe, like I said, Gabe being 23, 24, and then the guy you're going to pick at 107 is going to be like 21, 22.
So for what Boom is doing, it was a good trade for him.
Yeah. If he goes that rebuild
I
path.
think if I'm looking at it as vacuum, I will take space.
Like I said, yeah, it's an even value trade. So yeah, it's when you're looking at it, it's the eye test on those ones.
Next one here. Oh, look, our friend Boom is back.
This fucking guy's trying to go for a record trade.
So Rob sends over Wandale, Jelani Woods, and the 108, and he gets back DeAndre Swift and Collins 2024 first. It's like Rob's already starting to build up the 2024 first. That's his third one, including his own.
This was a stupid trade. Yeah.
Yeah.
This one was the ones you don't even want to really break down. But we just talked 109 for Swift was, I believe, a fair value deal considering where he's at. So getting the 108 for him when you already gave up the 109, okay. So you got back a little bit more, but then you gave up your 24 first, and your team fucking sucks. I'm sorry, but right now your team.
And you get Jelani Woods and Wandale for the 24 first.
Yeah, which is going to end up being probably a top 5 pick, just depending on how shit falls. But you know, he's got a lot of building to do to make that actually justifiable. Yeah. But right now, looking at it, we know that first is going to be early, and getting Swift, which I like. If I got Swift for the 109, that's like boom, you're going to sit on my bench until you gain value because I just got value for you. Yeah. And to get rid of him for the 108, which is like we've already been talking, man, those are where the right wide receivers are going to go. Between 5 and 8 is where Gibbs and those 3 wide receivers are going to come off your boards, and so you just locked yourself into another wide receiver.
Pretty easy, hands down winner, Rob.
Yeah.
Moving on. I had to go get my boy.
No, I like this. I like this actually because everybody knows. If you don't know, I don't know what the hell you're thinking. Get your head out of the complete optimism of life and realize the reality of shit. And Javonte Williams is going to either miss a few games at the beginning of the year, or he is going to be eased in for the first few games of the year. And P. Ryan's a good running back, man. And he showed in Cincinnati that he can do it all. And now he's going to step into a Sean Payton offense and do it all for him again. And then your guy, you and your fucking Shaheed, man. But I think P. Ryan for the 212, considering what the running back group looks like in this class right now that you're going to be able to pick from the rookies, good pick. And Shaheed for the 412, man. Go get your guys, dude. If you like them, go get them.
I originally offered 2/3, and this was the counter.
Oh, you can't argue that. 212, that's a third. Shit.
It's borderline. I see the production of what P. Ryan can do as good dart throw. Like, okay, I'm looking at the 212, like what running back? Okay, I might be able to throw the 212 at a running back, but I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know where he's going to fit in the offense. Like, I know where P. Ryan's going to be.
Yeah. He might tail off. You know, who knows if he's going to be like a 1-2 punch with Javonte. I'm not really sure about that. He could be like just the fill-in guy while Javonte gets better. Who knows what the fuck they're going to do. But Sean Payton is definitely stirring it up a little bit there in Denver.
If I got a 212 to give me 3 games of relevance, I'm happy.
Yeah, especially if you're a competer. So on this one, honestly, though, I can't say like winner or loser. This is just an even trade of guys going and getting their guys and whatnot.
Yep, somebody getting some draft capital.
Yeah, go get your guys.
Okay, it's time to break down Boom's moves. So this is something that you and I have done. I don't know how long you did it before, but we started talking about this when I started getting into fantasy football, about documenting your moves and making sure you're having some deliberate actions of moving pieces to get the value or the direction that you want to go with your roster.
I started doing like mostly, I don't want to say like breaking down, but on most sites you're on, you can go back, look at your trade history and see kind of where you put yourself at. This is a good exercise to do if you are having trouble just piecing it all together by looking at each trade and seeing how the puzzle all fit. Just lay it out like this. What'd you send away? What'd you get back? And this is a good way to look at it as an overall. I actually would like to see the next slide because we have crossover players here on this one.
Yep. So what we did, so just to foreshadow here, what I did is anything that we had on the sent side that came in from received, we're going to take that out. That it's going to look a lot like this, and you get to see the true pieces that you moved and you received.
Yeah, I like looking at it both ways because that way you see guys you got rid of, value we're getting for them. It kind of shows you a little bit of like where you had their value at, and you can always assess yourself and make sure like you're getting the proper values on guys. But definitely always break it down into what you actually got versus what you actually got rid of versus, what in comparison, what is like actually still on your roster that you're holding on to.
Well, and that's your
So
build. So you got your build. You still have your roster, and these are the moves you're making. Does that fit what you're building?
right. And I don't know if he had an idea of what he was building. This is a good example too of understanding that when you start to make trades in a league, you need to have a clear direction of where you're trying to go with your trades. If you're going to be a rebuild team, because I think if he would have made the call, hey, I'm going to be a fucking rebuild team, he could have gotten way more for a lot of for the trades that he made, and he could have accentuated it more around draft picks and staying young. Instead, I feel like maybe he got a little bit tied up in just making trades and like building the roster and seeing what he had available to him and didn't have a clear actual direction. And so it got
Right.
a little spotty. So I think the best things we can do here is just kind of pick out some pieces. Jonathan Taylor being the biggest piece he sent.
Huge.
Yeah. And then just take some of the bigger pieces that he got back. I don't really see players that match up to that. So we're just going to eat up the draft picks on him. So basically, Jonathan Taylor sent away to get back, we'll call it 107, 108, 112, 3 firsts.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I was kind of looking at too. I'm like,
yeah.
That's where I can only see the value for Jonathan Taylor. Like,
Yeah,
hell, we'll even throw James Robinson as part of that for those 3 picks.
and see, and we'll just for clarity, we'll just say the first round picks. This is already getting a little funny. And then we'll go to the next biggest piece, which I think is probably Devontae Adams, finished wide receiver 3 last year, still has some left in the tank. And so we start looking across. Where's the next biggest pieces here?
Pickett.
Yeah, I would
Gabe
say Pickett.
Davis.
Yeah, I'd say Pickett, and then let's say the 307, just to wipe that part of it out, right? I think that's kind of a fair value trade. Not exactly what he did, but for the exercise, we'll call it that. I'd say the next biggest piece. What do you think the next biggest piece would be?
It's got to be Keenan.
Think so? I'm kind of bouncing between
the
Keenan
$22.
That is
true. The $22, you're paying that for. What did Pickett go for? 24. Pickett was drafted for 32.
That's rough. I think either way you look at this, the more you look at it, he got rid of a shitload more than what he got back.
Yeah.
You got to think about a team that was rostering Jonathan Taylor, Keenan Allen, Devontae Adams, and Terry McLaurin, still had a first round pick, which was the 104.
Terry McLaurin went for 16. Godwin 18. JMO went for $20.
And so basically you took all those guys. You could break it down that you took Jonathan Taylor, Devontae Adams, and Terry McLaurin and turned them into 2 of the top 3 wide receivers in the draft and a who the fuck knows at 112. This is going to be entertaining to watch, especially because we have a couple teams like Boom who are on the bubble and they're trying to decide if they're going to be a rebuild team or take a run team. We've got a couple teams that are pretty well locked in. Yeah.
Power ranking follow up next week.
Yeah.
I think, with this league, it's going to have those people that are going to grow. And this is going to be, something that he can grow from because I was there a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I made stupid moves. I made stuff like, oh, I want to go young. Well, getting 107, 108, 112, yeah, you're getting rookies, but is that really building towards the future? So
yeah, it's rookie picks. We all have our ideas on rookie picks. I'm sure we'll talk about those and strategies with rookie picks further down the road. But yeah, rookie picks for straight up fucking ballers, dude. I don't know if I had Jonathan Taylor on my team, I don't know that I would accept an offer of 107, 108, 112.
It would be tough. I'd be like, because I received something like that for Lamar at one point, and was just like, nah, I'm good.
It's like, fuck you.
Because you start to look at it, you're like, I just really not getting, a quarterback back in that. I'm not really getting anything that I'm excited to draft. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for landing spots to determine the value of those picks.
Yeah, I think he's still got a good opportunity to make a decision on his team to decide where he wants it to go. But right now, it's like, fucking slow down, man.
Yeah. And that's what we've told him. Where you want to go. That's what's nice is he's open to that. Hey, stop. You're good. Just let it sit for a while. See where you're at.
Simmer down now. But other than that, it's been a good first week in the league. A lot of talking going on. Everybody's got trade talks going on right now. We got the draft coming up too. Everybody's really excited about that. It should be and is already starting off to be a really good league.
Yeah.
Got a rookie draft set for the 30th. So yeah, that's the wrap up for the first week in the league. It's been a little bit action packed, a little lean to one guy making a shit ton of moves. But we'll see what he ends up doing with that. We'll keep you updated. Power rankings next week sound like a fucking good idea to me. Other than that, continue to be like water, my friends. Stand by your decisions. Peace out.